Good morning all, good morning Excellencies. The event will start in a couple of minutes. I ask your indulgence, my PR is joined. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, brother.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Bostian, and all the distinguished colleagues.
Morning.
Good morning, good morning, Mahmoud. Thank you very much.
Good morning to everybody.
Good morning, Mr. Luis.
Good afternoon from Geneva.
God bless you all. Thank you very much for joining us, and a pleasant day in Geneva. And good afternoon or good morning, depending on where are you joining us. Happy World Water Day, distinguished colleagues. Happy to see all of you around the table, despite your heavy schedule. I'm glad you're joining us at this one-year mark important event. Egypt and Finland, together with Argentina, Austria, Brazil, Costa Rica, France, Germany, Hungary, Lebanon, Malaysia, Pakistan, Peru, Portugal, Senegal, Slovenia, South Africa, and Switzerland are honored to co-host this important meeting today at this critical juncture. 1 year ago, our core group had introduced the cross-regional, the so-called cross-regional statement on water. And 1 year from now, exactly in March 2023, the UN will convene its first water conference since 1977. Can you imagine? So it has been decades. Our aim today is to assess the progress on water action and discuss how we could contribute to the upcoming preparations of the UN 2023 Water Conference, with special emphasis on the themes of the 5 interactive dialogues, including the upcoming preparatory meeting in November 2022, later this year. We want to contribute in galvanizing water diplomacy and strengthening UN approach on water. You would agree with me, distinguished colleagues. Without further ado, I wish to give the floor to my distinguished colleagues, the Chargé d'Affaires of Finland, my dearest colleague, Maria Rian, to take over and to proceed with the remarks. You have the floor, my colleague.
Thank you, Ambassador. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you all for attending this meeting and wish you warmly welcome. At the outset, I would like to thank especially Ambassador Osama Abdelkhalek for co-hosting this event with us and for the productive and active cooperation we enjoy with Egypt on water issues here in New York and elsewhere. I would like to thank also hosts of the 2023 Water Conference, the Netherlands and Tajikistan, for participating in this event today. At the PGA high-level meeting on water in March 2020, we, together with 167 countries, co-signed a statement highlighting the key issues where additional action is needed to advance the water agenda as we head to 2023 Water Conference. With 1 year since the adoption of the statement and 1 year left until the conference, this is an opportune moment for us to gather to both reflect and look forward. The next 12 months are perhaps the most important time in advancing the global water agenda in decades. The 2023 conference is a long due opportunity to galvanize water action that cannot be wasted. As such, it's wonderfully encouraging to see how broad the support is, as evidenced by the list of signatories of the statement. It is evident that there is broad support for key issues such as accelerating implementation of the SDG 6, realizing the human rights to water, enhancing integrated water resource management and transboundary cooperation, as well as strengthening UN system-wide approach to water and enhancing the database for decision making. As Finland, we see great opportunity in the diversity of countries who form the core group of the statement and who are co-hosting the event today. This is exactly the kind of cross-regional coalition of like-minded countries that are needed to really drive the agenda forward and change the water agenda at the UN in a durable manner. So to conclude, I would like to express my gratitude for all countries who have worked with us on this and look forward to our fruitful cooperation in the months leading up to the conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria, for this very important remarks, and we're truly proud and honored to cooperate with Finland on all water issues. Now we start the substantive part of our meeting. We will hear, with the kind permission, to some key messages, starting with His Excellency Jamshad Shoimzodeh, First Deputy Minister of Energy and Water Resources of Tajikistan, to be followed by a few others. I'll keep introducing them.
Excellencies, it's my great pleasure to greet you on behalf of Tajikistan and to thank the governments of Egypt and Finland for hosting of this event dedicated to the UN 2023 Water Conference. This conference should be historical for the water community. And it is not because it will be the first UN conference on water after almost 15 years, but because of the needs for the urgent actions. Actions are needed because today water resources are under the high pressure of impacts of climate change, population growth, economic development, and other challenges. And without urgent actions, it will be very complicated to achieve SDG 6 and other water-related goals and targets. The Decade for Action, Water for Sustainable Development, initiated by Tajikistan and declared by UN General Assembly, and the UN 2023 Water Conference, provide the unique opportunity to all of us to take action to create the watershed moment for the world. Today, we celebrated the World Water Day. The main theme of this celebration is make in the invisible visible, through this motto dedicated to the groundwaters. I think it's also very applicable to actions. We need to make our actions more visible, to catalyze, accelerate, and scale up them. The second Dushanbe Water Decade Conference, to be held in June 2022 in Tajikistan, is a milestone in the preparation to the UN 2023 Water Conference. And it will also focus on actions for partnerships to address water challenges. We have to use these opportunities to make the changes, to bring water on top of the development agenda, to show that water can be the deal maker, the leverage point for the green economy, climate resilient and more sustainable and exclusive world. The UN conference in 2023 is hope for many of us, but it's also our responsibility to make it a historic event. Let's join our efforts, make commitments, and put actions on the ground and make this happen. We, Tajikistan and the Netherlands, are so chairs of the conference, are committed to cooperating with you and all interested parties and to coordinate our actions and activities to achieve success. Thank you for your attention and wish you happy World Water Day.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister. We're very grateful for this important, encouraging message, and God knows how much we heavily rely on the active role of Tajikistan and Netherlands to cruise toward the UN Water Conference. And now I give the floor, or we will listen to a key message from Her Excellency Kitty, the Vice Minister of International Cooperation of the Netherlands. Honorable Vice Minister, you have the floor.
Excellencies, distinguished guests. First of all, let me thank the governments of Egypt and Finland for organizing this very timely event. Now, last year, World Water Day put the spotlight on valuing water. And everyone was asked to share their views on water. What does water mean for you? How do you value water? But today we celebrate and focus attention on successful cross-regional, multi-stakeholder water cooperation. And we look forward to next year, when the Netherlands and Tajikistan will be co-hosting the first UN conference on water in almost half a century. Unbelievable, isn't it? So we welcome this event today to kickstart discussions in the run-up to this absolutely vital conference. The world will be watching us at the UN 2023 Water Conference. There, together we will have to take stock of progress on the Water Action Decade and on SDG 6. And considering that water is at the heart of our development agenda, we will also have to take stock of progress on linking up water with the other SDGs. Now we know what we have to do. We have to accelerate our efforts fourfold if we are to achieve SDG 6, to ensure sustainable management of and access to water and sanitation for all by 2030. So let's pick up the pace. Let's give this crisis the priority it deserves. Our global ambitions are clear. In March 2021, 161 countries signed a joint statement for the UN High-Level Meeting on Water. In March 2023, we will, together, demonstrate a global vision of what is needed and what we are going to do. In the run-up to 2023, the Netherlands will make every effort to mobilize all stakeholders, coalitions and partners, and to focus our programs and our investments on achieving the SDGs. We are committed with you to a conference and a preparatory process that is action-oriented, that is cross-sectoral, and that is inclusive in nature. The UN 2023 Water Conference can be the moment the world commits to concrete action, the moment the world defines a roadmap and a timeline to inspire, unite and guide us towards water security for all of mankind. We're eager to hear what your country is willing to commit to. Join us in making March 2023 a true watershed moment for the world. Thank you.
You are muted, Excellency.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vice Minister. Couldn't have a better positive vibes and assurances and so on. Very grateful on your behalf for Netherlands for its active role and responsibility. Now I give the floor to the distinguished friend, my dear friend, USG Liu Zemin, for this, in his capacity as the Secretary General of the UN 2023 Water Conference. You have the floor, my dear friend Liu.
Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to address this special event in celebration of World Water Day. This event is fittingly titled Towards the United Nations 2023 Water Conference, the 1-year mark. I commend the government of Egypt and Finland and other co-organizers for this timely initiative. The cross-regional statement on water, as well as the summary of the high-level meeting on water, highlighted critical global water issues and the necessary actions to cope with them. Clean water is considered a global public good and a basic human right. This is reflected in the commitments of the 2030 Agenda and SDG 6, and was reiterated by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres last September in his report on our common agenda, which aims to reinforce actions towards the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, along with other international commitments. Yet, billions of people around the world today still lack access to clean water and sanitation services, particularly in rural and deprived urban areas. The UN 2023 Water Conference will address the fundamental issues of sustainable development and integrated management of water resources for the achievement of our social, economic, and environmental objectives. Excellencies, last May, Secretary General Antonio Guterres appointed me as Secretary General of the UN 2023 Water Conference. The UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs, DESA, with the support of UN Water, serves as the conference secretariat. Last month, I convened the first meeting of the UN Interdepartmental Task Force on logistical preparations for the conference. The UN 2023 Water Conference will comprise an opening ceremony and a closing ceremony, 6 plenary meetings, and 5 interactive dialogues. The plenary meetings will be devoted to statements by member states, international organizations, major groups, and other stakeholders. Each 3-hour interactive dialogue will include a panel discussion, followed by an interactive debate among member states and other relevant stakeholders. Discussions on the themes of the 5 interactive dialogues are underway. In January, I invited all member states to propose possible themes. At the same time, DESA launched a global online stakeholder consultation on possible themes. By the deadline of March 10th, the conference secretariat received 14 proposals from member states and 79 from stakeholders from all over the world. The UN system also had intensive discussion on possible themes from a technical point of view and developed a zero draft concept note. The themes of interactive dialogues will be finalized at the one-day preparatory meeting to be convened by the President of the UN General Assembly by November 2022. During the UN 2023 Water Conference, high-level special events, side events, exhibits, and other activities will be also organized by participants at and around UN headquarters. Application for these events, as well as special accreditation of non-state participants, will be announced on the conference website in due course. The outcome document of the conference will be a summary of the conference proceedings to be prepared by the President of the UN General Assembly. The Secretariat will prepare two pre-conference documents. Number one, a report of the Secretary General on the progress of the Water Action Decade, and number two, a background note for the one-day preparatory meeting. For awareness raising, DESA has developed a dedicated mailing list and periodic news emails with key information and updates. The new conference logo was also designed by the UN communication team. Excellencies, in the lead up to the UN 2023 Water Conference, a series of global and regional preparatory meetings will increase opportunities for engagement with multiple stakeholders and for building more inclusive and effective networks. I encourage active participation and wide support from all member states and inputs from all stakeholders to the preparation of the conference. That will be critical to ensure its success. DESA, with the support of UN Water, stand ready to assist the co-hosts, Tajikistan and the Netherlands, to deliver a landmark UN 2023 Water Conference. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Azil, Zemin. A very important preparation process in full and in place. Now I give the floor we will listen to the message of the co-founders of the Cross-Regional Statement on Water, starting with a message from the Minister of Water Resources of Egypt, to be followed by the Honorable Minister of Development Cooperation of Finland.
Excellencies and colleagues, it gives me a great pleasure to address you from Cairo as we join the international community to celebrate the World Water Day. I wish to express my thanks and gratitude to the co-hosts of our event, especially His Excellency Ville Skinnari, the Minister of Development and Cooperation of Finland, the co-founder of the Cross-Regional Statement on Water together with Egypt. I extend my appreciation to the Netherlands and Tajikistan, the co-hosts of the UN 2023 Water Conference, as well as to the Secretary General of the conference and the leadership of the relevant UN organizations participating with us today. We are gathered at a timely and pertinent moment. 1 year from now, the peoples of the world will look at the United Nations 2023 Water Conference, seeking assurance to their sources of life, livelihood, and food security. Simply 2023 conference cannot be missed opportunity. The world will not afford to waste an anticipation of the 46 years from the last UN Water Conference. To that end, I will focus on three main themes. Firstly, the future we want to the global water agenda. We need a future where we ensure that human rights to water are promoted and fulfilled, and water serves as a vehicle for peace and regional cooperation, as maintained in Agenda 2030, especially SDG 6. To achieve this, we must address water scarcity. 36% of the world population lives already in water scarcity by 2050. Water stress and desertification will threaten the livelihood of nearly 100 countries. In that context, Egypt is severely vulnerable as the most densely populated water-stressed country in the world. In the same way, transboundary cooperation is pivotal to the success of the international water action, as 153 countries share 263 transboundary lakes and river basins. Egypt will remain a strong advocate to the peaceful settlement of disputes related to the use of transboundary water courses through mutually acceptable arrangement and binding agreement. In addition, we cannot achieve the future we want on water in isolation from climate discussions. In our capacity as COP27 President, we will address the interlinkages between water and climate agendas and build synergies between them. Secondly, the UN fit to serve our collective water ambition. Strong work is required towards the UN 2023 conference. Gaps need to be identified and addressed. Political dialogue and water diplomacy must be strengthened, and UN system-wide approach is vital. In Egypt, we started already working on support to the 2023 conference. 1 year ago, we joined our core group of 17 countries to issue the cross-regional statement on water. It had unprecedented impact, as a record number of 168 countries and 11 organizations joined the statement to reflect their positions and priorities regarding the UN 2023 Water Conference. Furthermore, Egypt included Cairo Water Week 2021 and 2022 within the preparatory meetings of the UN conference in order to contribute to the discussions and provide substantive input to the conference. Cairo Water Week 2021 brought together participants from 38 countries and 15 organizations, particularly from Africa and Middle East, including ministers, high-level officials, experts, academia, and civil societies. I am pleased to announce that we conveyed the Cairo Water Week conclusions to the UN. The conclusions focus on water scarcity and accessibility, water and climate cooperation, finance and innovation, and transboundary cooperation, all of which are critical elements that require in-depth discussions at the UN 2023 Water Conference. Moreover, Egypt is keen to mobilize holistic and comprehensive vision that takes into account inputs and discussions of all relevant forums in Geneva, Nairobi, and other international and regional venues. Thirdly, the year of water ambition. I call for 1 year of ambition towards the UN 2023 Water Conference, a year to raise the global water agenda and take the UN water discussions to the next level. Egypt submitted a robust proposal on the 5 interactive dialogues of the 2023 conference in order to accelerate the achievements of water-related goals and targets contained in the 2030 agenda. Our proposal covers the following: universal access to water, water quality and restoring ecosystem, water scarcity, transboundary cooperation, and water and climate. Moreover, we will further elaborate on Cairo conclusions in series of regional discussions in cooperation with relevant organizations and partners. These deliberations will aim to adopt action-oriented outcomes during the 5th edition of Cairo Water Week 2022 to feed concrete ideas and solutions to the UN 2023 Water Conference. We are committed to continue our work with all interested partners in all water platforms to galvanize the global water action and raise ambitions ahead of 2023 conference. Excellencies and colleagues, that was our vision, activities, and ambitions towards the UN 2023 conference. We remain committed to an open, inclusive, and transparent conference. Egypt reiterates its appreciation and support to Tajikistan and the Netherlands, as well as His Excellency Mr. Leo Zemin, the Secretary General of the UN 2023 Water Conference, and all relevant UN entities. Let's work for the Year of Water Ambitions. Happy World Water Day. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we will listen to the Honorable Her Excellency Vil Skinari, Minister of Development Cooperation of Finland.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very honored to address you today alongside my esteemed colleague, Dr. Mohamed Abdel Attu, Minister of Water, Resources and Irrigation of Egypt. We greatly value our cooperation with Egypt in New York and elsewhere on advancing the water agenda. Water respects no boundaries and therefore requires us, countries and people to work together. We need to manage this essential resource in a sustainable manner. A record-breaking number of countries joined the cross-regional statement on water at the high-level meeting last year. I would like to thank those who joined and express my appreciation to delegations who made it possible. However, statements are not enough. We must all commit ourselves to implementing the goals we set. Last year's statement must galvanize our actions. Dear friends, we are running out of time. Climate change is escalating water scarcity globally. The global water agenda has not moved forward for decades at the UN due to lack of strong leadership and political will. It is time to tackle the issues that have blocked action, and therefore we do have to implement now. As we look to the 2023 Water Conference, we need to focus on concrete actions from the meeting. After 46 years of no conference on water, we need one that can deliver high-impact solutions and promote real change. The joint statement clearly shows the political will for actions on a range of areas. Finland's priorities are clear. We need clear commitments on the implementation of SDG 6 with gender aspects and a strong human rights-based approach at its very core. We need new investment models and concrete investments in water management and better sanitation. And for these investment models, we really have to work together in order to make a system-level change and integration. Transboundary water cooperation needs to be strengthened. We need to build capacity in water negotiations to make sure agreements are in place for shared water resources. The UN should adopt a system-wide approach to water and strengthen its capacity as a global leader on water. In addition, we should look at the public procurement processes to really highlight the comprehensive value behind. Mediating in water-related disputes should be high on the agenda. International support should be provided to improve water data and information. We must work together so that a global water information system provides the status, assessment, and outlook for smart climate and water-related decisions. I look forward to the discussion today on how to make the Water Conference a success, and especially how we together implement and work together. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister Skinari, for this very powerful key message. We're very grateful. Now we will hear the key messages of the UN entities, starting with His Excellency Mr. Petteri Talas, the Secretary General of the World Meteorological Organization. We welcome you, sir, with us. You have the floor.
So, dear Excellencies, greetings from Geneva and happy World Water Day. Tomorrow we will celebrate the World Meteorological Day, and this is a festivity week for us at WMO who are responsible for the weather, climate and water issues. First, have a look at the universe, and we should be very grateful for this planet where we are living in. This is the only planet where we have such water resources as we have. This is the only one in the universe which has similar resources. We have also right distance to the sun. We have oxygen, we have carbon dioxide and nitrogen oxides for fertilizing the growth on the planet. We have oceans which are transporting heat, and we have atmosphere which is transporting also water from the oceans to the land, and also our atmosphere is protecting us from solar radiation and meteorites and UV radiation. So we should be very pleased with our planet, and water is one of the blessings of our planet, but it's also a challenge, as we all know. And we have, if we look at the long-term trends of precipitation worldwide, we have already seen changes happening, which was also indicated in the recent IPCC reports. For example, Africa as a continent has become drier, and so is Southern Asia, and in both Americas we can see this negative trend, whereas at the high latitudes we have seen an increase in the rainfall amounts. So climate change is already felt through changes in the precipitation patterns. If you look at disaster statistics, the most recent IPCC report that was published some weeks ago was demonstrating that we have started seeing growing amount of weather-related disasters, and they are longer, and their frequency has been increasing. And so is happening also for the economic losses. They have been increasing fivefold during the past 50 years. During the past 20 years, we have seen 2 billion inhabitants of our planet exposed to major flooding events. And also last year, we saw severe flooding events in India, China, and also in Germany with thousands of casualties altogether. During the past 20 years, we have seen 1.5 billion inhabitants of our planet being exposed to major drought events, and those drought events have also had political consequences. For example, it was one of the reasons behind the so-called Arab Spring, which led to political consequences in Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, and also Syria, where the crisis is still ongoing. So this is the risk that we have been facing. And 700 million people have been exposed to major tropical storm event, and this year, for example, recently we have seen severe tropical storms hitting Madagascar and also Mozambique, which is unusual, and they are often coming with flooding events. In English-speaking countries, we are often talking about global warming, and from my perspective, it's a misleading term. We should more talk about global precipitation changes or the water pattern changes instead of warming. But of course, warming is a simple way to indicate progress of climate change. So drought, flooding, melting of glaciers, they are the things that are already speeding up, and melting of glaciers has been speeding up fairly rapidly during the past 20 years, and it's also contributing to the sea level rise. And this drought and heat waves together, they have been leading to forest fires in many parts of the world. And all these are having negative impacts on agriculture, human health and well-being, They're having impacts on energy sector, transportation sector, economies and infrastructures, and in countries like several African countries, they are also matters of life and death. And we can already say that more than half of the Sustainable Development Goals they are threatened because of changes in the water sector. And we all know that we are not yet on track to 1.5 degrees, nor on track towards 2 degrees warming. And the negative trend in weather patterns will continue for the coming decades, independent of our success in climate mitigation. We also know that the melting of glaciers will continue for the coming centuries, and there's a threat that we would see major sea level rise coming during the coming hundreds of years. When we last time had more than 400 ppm of carbon dioxide, the sea level was 10 to 20 meters higher than today, and that's a risk that we are facing. Then we are very much interested in disaster risk reduction at WMO, and we know that only half of our 193 members have proper early warning services, and only 1/3 of the population of our planet have access to early warning services. We have major gaps, especially in Africa, island states, and also some parts of Latin America. And our plea is to invest in early warning services, which is a powerful way to adapt to climate change. And from WMO's side, we have created a water climate coalition, and we have been very happy to collaborate with many of your governments, with the government of Egypt, with the government of Tajikistan, and Netherlands and Finland as examples. And then we have also created a financing mechanism to enhance the amount of observations for weather and climate, and we have been supporting the further development of early warning services. And altogether, there's a need of 1.5 to 2 billion US dollars to improve the situation, and we are seeking for financing for that as part of the climate adaptation package. This is a powerful way to adapt to climate change. And we are very grateful for the government of Senegal for the water conference that they just have organized, and also we are grateful for government of Tajikistan for the Dushanbe climate conference, and finally we are looking forward to the outcomes of the New York conference. And the incoming United Nations General Assembly presidency has also indicated that they are very much interested in having water as a key theme. And we are also, from WMO's side, we are collaborating with the government of Egypt to prepare the COP27 agenda and to keep this need in Africa very much in mind, adaptation in mind, and especially through this water challenge that I have been already describing. With these words, thanks for the opportunity to address this important event, and thanks for Egypt and Finland for organizing this together with several other missions. Back to you to New York, and good afternoon from Geneva once again.
Inshallah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable SG, for this important message. Now, for distinguished ambassadors who wish to have the floor, kindly indicate in the chat box. And now we will have the last UN key message from His Excellency, Mr. Gilbert Hongbu, Chair of the UN Water. You have the floor.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. First, I would like to thank the representative of the permanent missions of Egypt and Finland for leading on last year's cross-regional statement on water and for convening today's important meeting. Dear friends, we have just 1 year left before we gather for the most important water conference in a generation, the UN 2023 Water Conference. This will be a critical moment, not only for the water sector, but for everyone working in sustainable development. The fact that we are off track to meet SDG 6 is a major threat to the entire 2030 agenda. We must move towards more holistic and integrated approaches, working across sectors to maximize synergies and support each other's progress. In our preparations and at the conference itself, everything we do must translate into rapid, concrete, and sustainable action. Today, there is unprecedented consensus around the critical role of water in development. Yet, water still lacks visibility in many arenas. As we approach the midway point of the Water Action Decade, many member states are prioritizing water and sanitation as never before. But the latest analysis shows that, collectively, governments must quadruple their current rates of progress to get SDG 6 on track. By working through the SDG 6 Global Acceleration Framework, we can get there. Since we launched the framework nearly 2 years ago, UN agencies, government, civil society, private sector, and other stakeholders have been using it to drive progress forward on water and sanitation issues and impact the other SDGs. Today, let me call on all of you to accelerate this work, to build momentum over the next 12 months and beyond, and ensure that the UN 2030 Water Conference is a powerful catalyst for the action we so urgently need. Our shared water future depends on all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hongbu, for this important message. With your kind permission, we will, observing the protocol, we will listen to the views of His Excellency Stefan Tidot, the State Minister of Environment of Germany, to be followed by the distinguished ambassadors. We'll start with the G77, my dearest friend, Ambassador Munir Akram, to be followed by Nicolas de Rivière, the PR of France, and others in the list of speakers. Germany, the Honorable Minister of Environment.
Ladies and gentlemen, first off, we would like to thank Egypt and Finland for organizing and inviting us to this event. Thank you also to the representatives of Tajikistan and the Netherlands for giving us an insight into the UN 2023 Water Conference and their work as co-hosts. Looking ahead to the next 12 months, we share in eager anticipation and expectations of my fellow speakers today. The cross-regional statement on water last year initiated a process that only has one goal on the road towards 2023, to accelerate implementation of SDG 6 and the other water-related goals and targets of the 2030 agenda. We need nothing more and nothing less than a paradigm shift in the water sector if we want to achieve the urgently needed progress for SDG 6, for the entire 2030 agenda and other global development agendas, as well as for tackling our planet's triple crisis of climate change, species extinction, and environmental pollution. We all agree that such an acceleration calls for joint efforts beyond the water sector. The appeal for cross-regional and cross-sectoral approaches and efforts, as called in the statement last year, is still valid today. Germany gave this ambition a further boost with the Water Dialogue for Results in Bonn. The key messages announced at the high-level conference on the 1st of July 2021 address important cross-sectoral issues and provide initial recommendations for actions. So far, 63 countries have expressed the support for the Bonn key messages. To maintain the momentum of the Bonn Water Dialogue and the results, we are working actively together with the hosts of this year's preparatory conference for 2023 to create synergies between the individual events. It remains crucial that the water sector engages in discourse beyond its own sphere. We have to strengthen the dialogue with other sectors and to find common levers to accelerate progress. The quality of the planned interactive dialogues and the involvement of decision makers from other sectors in the UN 2023 Water Conference will significantly influence whether the conference will be the turning point we are striving for. The water sector must be heard and seen as multilateral level too. However, it must also be approachable. That is why the Bonn Dialogues issued a recommendation to appoint a special envoy on water to the UN. In light of growing complex and cross-sectoral challenges, such a position is more important than ever. We invite you to discuss and further substantiate these proposals at cross-regional level. We are delighted to support the Conference Secretariat in its efforts to ensure the inclusivity of the 2023 conference and its preparatory process. We still have 1 year to go, and I encourage all of us, together with all sectors, to make the best use of this time. In Dakar, Kumamoto, Dushanbe, Lisbon, Cairo, New York, and at the many regional events. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Stefan, for this important message. Now I give the floor to my distinguished senior colleague, Ambassador Munir Akram, the current chair of the G77. Ambassador Munir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Osama. Thank you to you for giving me the floor. Excellencies, colleagues, I begin by thanking Egypt and Finland for organizing this event. I'm also thankful for the participation of their ministers in this event. We are also grateful to both the Netherlands and Tajikistan for their support in co-hosting the 2023 UN Water Conference, and I value contribution from USG, USNB as well. This leadership and commitment is required to achieve the water-related sustainable development goals. I believe that we are all agreed that water is inextricably linked to human life and livelihood and the economic system of our planet. It is at the core of sustainable development, and it impacts all its 3 dimensions. Protection of water as a natural resource is a common thread in the Sustainable Development Goals. Many SDGs, such as SDG 6 on water, SDG 13 on climate, and SDGs 14 and 15 on environment-related issues, all of these SDGs are directly interrelated and impacted by the water issue. Ending poverty and hunger, SDG 1 and SDG 2, and good health and well-being, SDG 3, and affordable and clean energy, SDG 7, are also immensely impacted by the water challenge. Excellencies, with agriculture as the mainstay of the economy, Pakistan attaches great significance to sustainable water management. Beyond agriculture, water scarcity is already taking a toll on people's lives in Pakistan. The International Monetary Fund has placed Pakistan among the top 10 water-scarce countries in the world. And Pakistan's water scarcity is owed to our status as a lower riparian state with unpredictable flows of waters in our eastern rivers. Many of our catchment areas and their ecosystems traverse boundaries. Changes on the other side of the border have a direct impact on us. Therefore, full and strict compliance with the 1960 Indus Waters Treaty is critical for Pakistan. These risks and vulnerabilities are, for us, not just academic issues. We have already confronted them in the shape of widespread devastation caused by massive floods in 2010 and 2011, and by drought in the province of Sindh in 2014. Besides the tragic human and material cost, these water-related threats also impede our ability to accomplish national goals and priorities, promote sustainable growth and development, and ensure economic prosperity for our people. Excellencies, dear colleagues, it is with this understanding that we join the core group of drafters of the joint statement of the high-level meeting last year. We are pleased to note that an overwhelming majority of UN member states have also joined the statement. For effective water management, we must strengthen cooperation and ecosystem approaches. And in this regard, I would like to suggest a few points. One, standards and regulatory limits should be enhanced and implemented to govern discharge into water bodies, ensure ecological standards in water quality, and maintain the runoff in our rivers in order to maintain ecosystem services. Two, environmental principles like precaution, polluter pays, and no harm should be observed in maintaining our freshwater resources, including transboundary rivers. And three, due consideration should be given to transboundary effects of water-related disasters, and priority should be accorded to exchange of information and joint management of transboundary water resources, including river and lake basins. And lastly, valuation of water-related infrastructure has been seriously flawed. Investments in resilient and sustainable infrastructure in water and sanitation is urgently required to be tripled from the current level to achieve our water-related goals. I thank you, dear brother Osama.
Thank you very much, my dear brother Munir, for this very important message. Now I give the floor to my distinguished colleague as well, Nicolas de Rivière, the PR of France. Nicolas, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Osama. First, I would like to thank warmly Finland and Egypt for organizing this event to celebrate World Water Day 2022. And congratulate as well the Netherlands and Tajikistan for organizing this 2023 UN Water Conference. France fully shares the principles stated in a vision statement for the UN Water Conference, an inclusive, multi-sectoral, and action-oriented approach. It is essential to face the current challenges of dignity, health, food and energy security, biodiversity preservation, and adaptation to climate change. The strengthening of water governance, particularly through integrated water resources management, and the promotion and implementation of the human rights to water and sanitation are essential. The ambition of this conference must be high. It should build new consensus. Several proposals have been mentioned, notably the creation of a special envoy on water, which France supports, and the possibility that the conference launch a global compact on water. Finally, I would like to highlight that while we speak, the French Minister of State for Biodiversity, Mrs. Abba, is currently in Dakar, Senegal, at the 9th World Water Forum, where she's reframing the need for ambitious actions toward the achievement of SDG 6 and access to water and sanitation for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicolas, for your kind participation and this important message and contribution. Now I give the floor to my dearest friend as well, the PR of Slovenia, Bostian, my dearest friend, Ambassador Bostian, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, dear Osama, for giving me the floor. I'm particularly proud Slovenia is among co-hosts of today's event, together with the group of states that a year ago joined efforts to issue the cross-regional statement on water. That cross-regional statement gained support of 168 countries and 11 organizations, which clearly reflects the key priorities that should be addressed in the ongoing preparatory process for the midterm review on the decade of water, as well as the 2023 review conference itself. In 1 year from now, in March 2023, the UN General Membership will convene the first water conference, like mentioned before, after 46 years. We must do our utmost to make the 2023 conference action-oriented with clear deliverables. The conference is an opportunity to mobilize all stakeholders and to further stimulate political momentum on water. The process leading to the conference needs to be inclusive and cross-sectoral. The conference should also enhance UN's system-wide approach to water. While promoting a comprehensive approach with all relevant interlinkages, the 2023 conference should nevertheless maintain a clear focus on reaching SDG 6 and other water-related goals and targets of the Agenda 2030. Our special appreciation goes to Tajikistan and Netherlands for hosting the 2023 conference, and we continue to offer our full support to make the conference a success with outcomes that will help us efficiently tackle water challenges worldwide, so that we truly live up to the SDG 6, which says that to ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. During Slovenia's presidency of the Council of the European Union, the second half of last year, water was one of our thematic priorities that culminated in EU Council conclusions that were adopted by EU development ministers on the 19th of November. With these conclusions, we recommended the understanding that water is a key element for sustainable development and for eradication of poverty. The EU Council conclusions also welcomed the 2023 UN Water Conference as an opportunity to mobilize all stakeholders and sectors and further catalyze political momentum on water issues. The EU submitted a unified proposal on the thematic dialogue for the conference to DESA, and we hope that these themes will be included into final program of the conference. From our national point of view, we believe that transboundary water cooperation is an essential vehicle for sustainable development, preservation of the environment, climate action, and for peace and security. We would like to see recommendations on how to accelerate and transform transboundary water cooperation, including on transboundary aquifers, as one of the outcomes of the 2023 conference. Water and peace nexus is a sensitive one and often misunderstood. We need to explore how we can best frame the water and peace nexus so that it is properly understood and accepted. To enhance a UN system-wide approach to water, to galvanize political will, strengthen coordination and coherence of action, and mobilize finance, we need the appointment of UN Special Envoy for Water, supported by UN Water. This would be essential also in terms of securing a follow-up of the conference. Based on the outcomes of the conference, the UN Special Envoy would be also tasked to prepare, with assistance of UN Water, a plan of action or a roadmap on achieving water-related targets beyond 2028 and 2030. In conclusion, sailing towards the 2023 Water Conference, we remain convinced that water is a powerful tool for cooperation and for dialogue in support of sustainable development and social resilience. We hope the conference will be empowered enough to truly provide open space for discussion that will help us identify gaps, talk ways for strengthened UN approach to water, and galvanize political dialogue, water diplomacy, and water cooperation. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Bustian, for this very important contribution. Couldn't agree more with you on the transboundary as a must in all water-related matters, transboundary cooperation. Now, I give the floor in sequence to Her Excellency, my dear friend, Ambassador Pascal, the distinguished PR of Switzerland, to be followed by Ambassador Mahmoud Hammoud, the PR of Jordan. Pascal, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Osama, and I would like to echo my colleagues in thanking the organizers, Egypt and Finland, but also the Netherlands and Tajikistan, who will be co-organizing the next UN Water Conference in 2023. My country is very much looking forward to the conference with the aim of putting water firmly at the center of the global agenda. And with this in mind, I would like to highlight a few key elements. Switzerland believes that the conference must, and I quote, step out of the water box by reaching out to all relevant sectors. The reason lies in the relationship between water and global challenges such related to health, food and energy security, climate change and conflict resolution. And this is why my country proposed a nexus approach for the interactive dialogues, focusing on the following 5 themes. 1, delivering on Paris. 2nd, building forward better. 3rd, feeding the world. 4th, harmony with nature. And 5, peaceful and inclusive societies. This 5th dialogue on peaceful and inclusive societies would encompass transboundary water cooperation, as has just been discussed, as well as the water peace nexus. Switzerland has a wide-ranging experience and expertise in both of these areas. Through our Blue Peace initiative, initiated in 2010, Switzerland is providing technical and policy solutions on transboundary cooperation in a number of watersheds in Central Asia, the Middle East, and West Africa. For example, Blue Peace Middle East contributed to rehabilitating 4 water gorging stations on the Tigris River in Iraq and Turkey. The aim is to support both countries to obtain accurate data on water flow and provide evidence-based information for better water sharing to improve the livelihood of the local populations. Additionally, Switzerland is engaged in the World Water Forum in Senegal, with focus on the water peace security nexus, the promotion of intergenerational dialogues, and the mobilization of stable funding for projects in the river basin. Taking place for the first time in a sub-Saharan African country, Switzerland views the 9th World Water Forum as a historic milestone, and we expect that the declaration will feed into the 2023 Water Conference interactive dialogues. Switzerland also considers the high-level conference in Dushanbe a key milestone towards the 2023 UN Water Conference. As a member of the International Advisory Committee of the Dushanbe water process, we consider the conference a unique chance for the regional players to demonstrate the importance of action at the river basin level and to promote water as a tool for cooperation, dialogue, and peace. Switzerland is therefore looking forward to collaborating with all of you to ensure that the 2nd UN Water Conference in history will be a turning point to achieve a water-secure world for us all. I thank you very much, Osama.
Thank you, Pascal, for this very important contribution. Last but not least, I give the floor to a very dear colleague, Ambassador Mahmoud Hammoud, the PR of Jordan, a powerful message from the water scarcity zone. Mahmoud, you have the floor.
Thank you, Osama. Excellencies and colleagues, I would like to thank the missions of Egypt and Finland and the other co-sponsors for hosting this important event on the occasion of the World Water Day. 1 year ago, Jordan has joined the cross-regional statement on water, which emphasizes our strong commitment to the implementation of water-related SDG 6. 1 year from now, it is essential that we agree on our priorities during the UN 2023 Water Conference and commit to an inclusive participation that would help strengthening capacity at all levels, individual, institutional, and informal. This inclusive participation should mobilize all sectors to improve the way water resources are managed and utilized, and ensure that the conference produces tangible results through concrete actions and plans on the ground. The government of Jordan has been coordinating with the UN and other relevant bodies and agencies in this regard, and in particular on the implementation of SDG 6 on water and sanitation, its 8 targets and its 11 global indicators. Our cross-sectoral document, the National Water Strategy 2016-2025, focuses on building resilience to ensure the sustainable management of water and sanitation for all in Jordan. Jordan, as the case with many other countries, is facing several major socioeconomic and environmental challenges that demand a strategic financial response. This includes demographic trends of population growth, urbanization, migration, economic growth and transformation, increasing water scarcity and decreasing water quality, climate change, imbalance between water supply and demand, and ensuring sustainable financing. Water is an indispensable element of any social and economic activity, and therefore water security is undoubtedly a key aspect of the national security of any country, especially those that are facing water scarcity, including my country, Jordan, which is the second most water scarce country in the world, with an annual renewable water resources of less than 100 cubic meters per capita. Recently, Jordan finalized tender documents for the National Water Carrier Project that will allow us to implement the strategic plans to improve the groundwater reality, including addressing the problem of overpumping from underground wells, storage capacity, reducing water loss by raising the efficiency of networks, and improving water supply. The project's main requirement focus on using clean energy, which complies with the government's commitment to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and cutting drinking water costs. I wish you all a very happy Water Day, and thank you again, dear Osama.
Thank you very much, Mahmoud, for this very powerful key message, as I said. Now, over to my dear friend, Ambassador Mia, the Distinguished Charge d'Affaires of Finland, to moderate the list of speakers. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mia.
Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you, Osama. So next on the list of speakers, we have Hungary, DPR of Hungary, Attila Hidek. You have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mia. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to join you on World Water Day. Hungary welcomes the one-year anniversary of the cross-regional statement on water as a member of the core group of 17 countries who joined efforts to issue this significant statement. As a committed member of international cooperation on water, we are looking forward to taking part in the UN 2023 Water Conference, and Hungary intends to have an active role in the preparatory process as well, especially in the elaboration of its priorities and target system. Please let me briefly introduce you the group of friends in support of water, sanitation, and hygiene in healthcare facilities, which was founded in December 2021 by the Permanent Mission of Philippines and Hungary with the support of the WHO. We decided to establish this group to raise awareness on the importance of WASH in healthcare facilities, which is crucial in preventing the deaths millions who currently die because of unsafe, poor healthcare services and lack of access to clean water, proper sanitation, and hygiene services. Today, more than 1.8 billion people around the world don't have access to reliable, adequate WASH services. Hospitals and other healthcare facilities in low-income settings suffer from the same lack of access. 1 in 4 facilities have no water services, and 10% have no sanitation services. This means that 1.8 billion people use facilities that lack basic water services, and 800 million use facilities with no toilets. The pandemic showed us that hospitals without reliable and meaningful WASH services are breeding grounds for infectious disease and threat to human health in the community and beyond. WASH is the first line of defense against COVID-19, inextricably linked to health security. Therefore, the main objectives of our group are to raise awareness of and concern for WASH in healthcare facilities among UN member states and other public and private stakeholders in connection with the UN, advocate for inclusion of WASH in high-level agendas, and serve as an informal platform to exchange information, share best practices, support initiatives, and mobilize resources. Reaching this goals will require our shared commitment and appeal to the global community for support and much needed assistance. Therefore, I urge my fellow permanent representatives and guests to join us in this important effort. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Attila. And the next, a DPR of Malaysia, Asril Aziz, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excellencies, I would like to begin by thanking Egypt and Finland for organizing this event, and may I wish happy World Water Day to all. Malaysia is pleased to be part of the core group of the successful cross-regional statement during the high-level meeting on water last year. The collective support shown by all 168 countries and 11 organizations on water action is a testimony or strong commitment to advancing SDG 6 and other water-related goals. We are one year away from the holding of the midterm review conference on the water decade. The event today is not only timely, but also important as we prepare for the conference. Malaysia is concerned with reports indicating that we are not on track to achieve SDG 6 by 2030. In this regard, ensuring sustainable clean water and sanitation will require greater efforts from the international community. Malaysia believes that a great starting point is to use the SDG 6 Global Acceleration Framework and focus on financing, capacity development, data information, innovation, and governance. Madam Chair, as part of our national climate action and to enhance water management efficiency, Malaysia plans to achieve a holistic water transformation agenda by 2040. The first phase of the agenda aims to accelerate integrated water resources management at the federal and local levels. Expediting the gazetting and conservation of water catchment areas are two crucial elements of this phase. To improve adaptation and resilience planning at the national level, Malaysia has also developed the development of National Water Balance Management System, which provides better informed water availability for the purpose of planning and operational decision-making processes during the dry period. In our mitigation efforts to fight flooding, Malaysia has also developed the National Flood Forecasting and Warning System. The system would enable 7 days forecasting with warning alerts of 6 hours to 2 days in advance. It will be implemented comprehensively throughout the country, involving flood prediction models in 41 major river basins. Further, Malaysia has integrated the study of eco-hydrology as part of the water management curriculum in local universities. Malaysia looks forward to cooperating with advanced countries in enhancing our capacity building and technical capability in this area. Madam Chair, climate change requires all of us to continue adapting and improving our climate action efforts. The conference next year would afford us with the opportunity to learn from each other, to share our best practices towards attaining water sustainability. Malaysia stands ready to support and contribute towards efforts in attaining SDG 6 and other water-linked goals. We firmly believe that only through combined efforts, we would be able to achieve our common agenda of building back better, stronger, and sustainable. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And next, Portugal, DPR Eduardo Ramos, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mia, and good morning, everybody. Excellencies, dear colleagues. We believe that last year's cross-regional statement on water, subscribed by 168 member states, was an important step in charting international action on water and in mobilizing the international community for the implementation of SDG 6. Portugal is proud to be among the members of the core group that drafted this statement and to be one of the co-sponsors of today's event. Today, I would like to update you on the main Portuguese contributions for the preparations of the 2023 UN Water Conference. As you know, Portugal will host a high-level symposium on water during the second UN Ocean Conference in Lisbon with the aim of bridging SDG 6 and SDG 14. The symposium will take place on 27th of June. After a save the date was sent to all your missions in January, the invitations were circulated by email just yesterday, along with the concept note for this event. As we enter the decade of action to deliver the Sustainable Development Goals and when the UN aims are breaking down silos to foster collaborative action towards a global vision, hosting the high-level symposium on water, in parallel with UN Ocean Conference, is an opportunity to bring the water and ocean communities together. The realization of this event will allow for source-to-sea linkages to be properly recognized and addressed as part of SDG implementation, thus ensuring that the connections between different goals and targets are considered directly. Doing so will help balance upstream and downstream demands and make sure that investments to advance the achievement of one SDG also contribute to the achievement of others. Regarding outcomes, the high-level symposium on water represents a unique opportunity to bring together political leaders and high-level decision makers dealing with both freshwater and saltwater. The meeting is therefore expected to bring together key stakeholders from these two communities to strengthen coordination, share experiences, identify solutions, build capacity, and establish partnerships. The symposium will highlight existing successful partnerships and stimulate innovative and concrete new ones, which bring together the water and ocean communities to identify common ways and means to support the achievement of Goals 6 and 14. A chair summary of a similar type of non-negotiated outcome document is also envisioned. This outcome document will be used to inform the Ocean Conference, the Water Conference, the high-level political forum, as well as other global and regional water-related processes. Outcomes may also be forwarded to the Climate COP27 and Biodiversity COP16. Voluntary commitments by member states and stakeholders will also be encouraged, particularly those that highlight the interlinkages between SDG 6 and SDG 14 by contributing to the implementation of both these SDGs and associated targets. Any voluntary commitments are to be submitted through the existing platforms for SDG 6 and SDG 14. We hope that the invitation to the high-level symposium on water will be positively considered by your capitals, and we hope to see all your delegations in next June. Until then, we remain at your disposal for any clarifications you may need. I thank you.
Thank you. Next, Morocco, followed by Cyprus and Indonesia. But Morocco, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. First of all, allow me, on behalf of the delegation of Morocco, to thank the permanent missions co-organizing this event dedicated to World Water Day, and to thank Egypt and Finland for leading on today's discussions. Morocco was the host of the first World Water Forum in Marrakesh back in 1997, which aimed to create a global vision for water, life, and the environment. And since then, Morocco has been investing in water efficiency solutions because we are deeply convinced that the preservation of water and its sustainable management are fundamental for the economic, environmental, and social developments of all humanity. Today, as many speakers before have highlighted, climate change and its effects have an undeniable impact on water scarcity. The situation keeps worsening year after year. At the international level, facts show us that 3 in 10 people lack access to safely managed drinking water. Water scarcity affects more than 40% of the global population, and it's projected that global water demand will increase by 55% at least by 2050. And in Africa, the situation is even more critical because the lack of access to clean and drinkable water is one of the greatest causes of famine and transmissible diseases. Such situation cannot remain in an age where scientific knowledge and advanced technologies provide solutions to address such issues. In this vein, Morocco is actively engaging this week in Dakar, Senegal, in the 9th World Forum Water. And we congratulate the brotherly country of Senegal for the very good organization of this forum. We see it as a yearly platform to further mutualize efforts and to scale up measures in the context of droughts and to reduce their impacts on local communities, especially on rural populations living off agriculture. International cooperation indeed in the field of water is a priority, especially through the adoption of depollution processes, transfer of technologies, and the treatment of used water. As an African country, my country fully commits to water-related efforts at the United Nations. We will continue engaging with Tajikistan and the Netherlands in view of the 2023 conference on water. And we also lend our full support to Egypt as we go towards the COP27 that will take place in Sharm el-Sheikh, because we see in it the potential to strengthen the climate water nexus and water collaboration at large. Such commitments, of course, imply a strong participation in international water cooperation and also to include water targets and pledges in nationally determined contributions in view of the next COP. Thank you again for this very good opportunity, and once again, happy World Water Day.
Thank you. We have next Cyprus, followed by Indonesia, El Salvador, Brazil, US, Senegal, and Australia. So Cyprus, you have the floor. Do we have Cyprus with us? Polly, are you with us? If not, let's move on. Let's go to Indonesia. Goba, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Allow me to express my delegation appreciation to all of the relevant missions for organizing today's important event, and to UNDESA as well as UN Water for their strong support. We are now at the critical juncture of humanity as we face several challenges of epic proportion. That is to address the severe impact of climate change and to recover sustainably from the COVID-19 pandemic. Water rightly sits at the intersection of these two issues, and we are still not at the point where we need to be. More than 2 billion people still live in countries experiencing water stress. For 3 billion people and nearly half of healthcare facilities lack adequate access to hand hygiene services. Meanwhile, the IPCC in their recent report has predicted an accelerated drying up of our aquifers and glaciers and higher prevalence of water-related disasters as a result of constant global temperature rise. And we therefore believe that the call for next year's midterm review of water action decade is to respond to these challenges through concrete action. Against this backdrop, let me share 3 pertinent points for our deliberation today. First, further strategy across next action and platforms is needed. The increased urgency for transformative action on water cooperation must continue cultivating the co-benefit of SDG 6 with other goals. Efforts across various platforms have to be mutually reinforcing and involving multi-stakeholder partnership in its process. Second, concrete action warrants sufficient means of implementation. Despite known as key factor in leveraging way to achieve various water targets, technology and innovation are unevenly distributed. It is time to put our money where our mouth is and ensure the accessibility and affordability of much needed water technologies, such as water and waste treatment, water harvesting, and desalination to developing countries. Third, Indonesia is committed to be part of the solution. The adoption of Indonesia's proposed solution of sustainable lake management during the UNEA 5.2 is the latest example of our active contribution to the global water discourse. And we are pleased that Indonesia has been given the chance to further continue such contribution in this field by becoming the host of the 10th World Water Forum in 2024. With the proposed theme of Water for Shared Prosperity, we aim to boost concerted global efforts in responding to challenges in water sector and further amplify action in the remaining water action decade. Thank you and happy World Water Day 2022. Thank you, Mia.
Thank you so much. And next, I would like to give the floor to El Salvador, to DPR Carlos Secura. But before I do that, I wish to thank all the speakers so far, and thank you so much for your interest and attention. And I will also give the moderator's role back now to Egypt. But Carlos, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mia. Good morning, distinguished excellencies, dear colleagues. I would like to express our appreciation to the delegations of Egypt and Finland to the United Nations for organizing this event towards the UN 2023 Water Conference as a starting point to address the midterm comprehensive review conference of the UN Water Decade, including its one-day preparatory meeting this November. On that note, El Salvador commenced yesterday's launch of the United Nations World Water Development Report, titled Groundwater, Making the Invisible Visible, which is also the theme of this year's World Water Day. El Salvador considers essential to deepen the understanding of the interconnections and synergies of SDG 6 to guarantee the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all, and other goals of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in order to envision a holistic approach in terms of water security via its sustainable use, the consideration of its cycle, as well as an essential basis to leave no one behind, contributing to eradicate poverty by providing basic services, including drinking water that is safe, clean, accessible, and affordable, adequate sewage and drainage pipes for both urban and rural areas, also health and sanitation, and tackling water pollution of oceans, rivers, lakes, fresh water, amongst other bodies of water. Also food security as a source to boost restoration of land degradation, particularly to improve the conditions of the agriculture sector. Also disaster risk reduction with the aim to better manage flooding, storms, water scarcity, droughts, including through access and transference of meteorological technology and other early warning systems, national plans and building capacities. Climate change action and conservation of biodiversity through water management and adequate disposal of industrial waste, the use of biodegradable products, helping the health of water bodies, including aquifer mantles. All of the above, as well as other improvements, could be boosted through increased compromise through assistance, cooperation, and finance. Furthermore, El Salvador is fully committed to continue advancing towards these goals. In these regards, I would like to highlight that my country has promoted actions taking water resources, planning, and management into account, such as the General Law on Water Resources approved last year that established water as a national good for public use, belonging to the population of El Salvador with no discrimination. Also, the Integrated Management Plan for Water Resources for the use of water resources and preservation of the water environment, water quality, risks due to extreme phenomena. Also, El Salvador's financial management strategy for disaster risk and strengthening our early warning system, financing the reduction of risks of disasters caused by water like floods and landslides. And finally, also the ocean cleanup, an initiative to extract plastic waste and prevent it from entering ocean waters. Allow me to conclude by reaffirming El Salvador's commitment to clean drinking water and sanitation as a human right that is essential for the full enjoyment of life, and to advancing on an integrated approach for water for all. In that sense, El Salvador looks forward to participating in the upcoming high-level meetings and conferences on the topic. Thank you very much.
I thank you very much, Excellency. Thank you for a very clear and in-depth message. Currently on the speakers list, we have Brazil, Senegal, US, and Australia. If any other delegation requests for the floor, please indicate so in the chat box. And now for Minister Councillor, Mr. Emerson Close from Brazil. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Let me begin by thanking Finland and Egypt for organizing this important event. 1 year ago, we adopted a cross-regional statement on water during the high-level meeting on implementation of the water-related goals and targets of the 2030 agenda. It was an honor and a pleasure for Brazil to have been actively engaged in this process and contributed to the adoption of this statement with a strong and action-oriented message. As stressed in our joint declaration, water is an essential enabler of the 2030 agenda. Indeed, it is difficult to think of an SDG that better summarizes the integrated and indivisible nature of the Sustainable Development Goals than SDG 6 on water and sanitation. Few SDGs have such cross-cutting nature with so deep and intertwined impacts on the 3 dimensions of sustainable development. A year from now, the UN Conference on the Midterm Comprehensive Review of the Implementation of the International Decade of Action on Water and Sustainable Development will be held here in New York. It will be an opportunity to assess the implementation of the decade and discuss obstacles and challenges to the achievement of water-related goals and targets, as well as opportunities for enhanced cooperation and partnerships at all levels. You can count on Brazil's active and constructive engagement in this process, including within the context of this group of Friends of Water. It is fundamental that we keep working together to ensure adequate visibility to SDG 6 and water-related issues in international processes, as well as their synergies with other SDGs and the 2030 agenda as a whole. Thank you and a good World Water Day to all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emerson. Thank you, colleague, for a very informative message. Now the floor is to Senegal. My brother, Sheikh Bamba. My brother, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. Excellencies, dear colleagues, allow me on behalf of Ambassador Cheikh Niang to thank Egypt and Finland for leading our discussion today. I'd also like to commend all delegations for attending this important meeting, which provides an opportunity to intensify our reflections in a context where the scarcity of water resources and the environmental degradation continue to worsen. As you know, Senegal has been hosting the 9th World Water Forum since yesterday and until March 27, 2022, under the theme Water Security for Peace and Development. The organization of this global event is a token of Senegal's unwavering commitment to keeping water issues at the heart of the international agenda and, of course, a prime interest of our common agenda. This forum, as well as the Dushanbe water process to come, provide us a high-level platform, scientifically and politically speaking, whose conclusion will surely feed the 2023 United Nations Conference for Midterm Comprehensive Review of Implementation of the UN Decade for Action on Water and Sanitation. This UN conference must be a landmark in our path to achieving SDGs, in particular SDG 6. Excellencies, dear colleagues, since last year's declaration, the concerns and priorities regarding water have remained the same, in spite of the urgency. The scarcity of waters when they are not polluted, the difficult condition of access to them, and the consumption of non-drinkable water endanger more than half of humanity, not to mention the impact of climate change, which affects water resources first and foremost. This is why cooperation, solidarity, and mutual aid are the only way to guard us from water crisis so that no one is left behind. In this regard, we must ensure that the 5 interactive dialogues on the United Nations Conference 2023 will take into account the nexus water, peace, security on one hand, and on the other, the cooperation in the management of international rivers and transboundary basins. Excellencies, dear colleagues, in view of all these challenges, Senegal remains more than ever anchored to its tradition of peace diplomacy and dialogues on water resources. This is the fundamental meaning behind the foundation of the Organization of the Development of the Senegal River, created in 1972 with Guinea, Mali, and Mauritania. By the way, we are pleased and honored that our organization received yesterday the Hassan II Worldwide Prize for 2022. I can also mention our involvement in the Organization for the Development of the Gambia River alongside Gambia, Guinea, and Guinea-Bissau. This tradition always also motivated our accession to the 1992 Convention on the Protection and Use of Transboundary Watercourses and International Lakes. Finally, this tradition fueled our initiative to include the theme of water, peace, and security in the agenda of the United Nations Security Council for the first time in April 2016 during our mandate in so-called council. Excellencies, dear colleagues, water must remain a vector of peace and a channel of solidarity between peoples in order to face our common challenges related to food security, sustainable development, and the environment. In order to ease water-related tensions and facilitate universal access to water resources, it is urgent we act on 3 main levers. Firstly, we must encourage more concerted management of transboundary basins to prevent the risk of conflicts. Secondly, we must pursue effective and socially equitable regulatory systems because water cannot be considered as a simple economic good, whose exploitation is solely subject to market forces. Third and finally, we must further promote a circular economy of sanitation through water waste treatment and recycling in order to reduce the environmental and health impact and at the same time create new income generating opportunities. In addition, we must promote science, technology, and innovation in order to facilitate universal access to water and sanitation and give priority to blue financing and investment with a view to encourage the sustainable use and consumption of these precious resources. Excellencies, dear colleagues, in conclusion, it goes without saying that addressing these immense challenges requires a global governance that is ever more inclusive and responsive to the need of developing countries, especially African ones. Water is a treasure to us all and the concern of us all. Thank you for your attention and happy World Water Day to all.
Thank you very much, my brother, and a very powerful message from one of the best examples in the world and in Africa, an African wisdom example of the Senegal River that we all aspire to. Thank you very much. Now the floor goes to United States. Mr. Jesse Walters. Jesse, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, colleagues, it's great to be with you here today to celebrate World Water Day. First off, a warm thank you to Egypt and Finland for convening us here today for this important discussion. Very much appreciated. In addition, we would just like to express our appreciation to Tajikistan, the Netherlands, and of course the UN Secretariat for their ongoing efforts to organize for next year's conference. The Biden-Harris administration recognizes the critical role of water security and the transformational power that water has for life of each person on Earth. Global water security is essential to international efforts to increase economic growth, build inclusive, equitable, and resilient societies, bolster health and food security, decrease the risk of conflict or instability, and tackle climate change. In 2021, U.S. intelligence community's National Intelligence Estimate on Climate Change highlighted both the increasing stress on global water resources and the resulting implications on US national security, which includes worsening inequality, increasing economic strain, negative health and health security outcomes, and a growing likelihood that water insecurity will become a driver or trigger of instability and subsequent conflict. The full resources of the US government are being brought to bear to address these challenges and improve global water security. These include the recent bipartisan infrastructure bill, the largest domestic investment in water, the President's emergency plan for adaptation and resilience, the administration's pledge to conserve 30% of US land and waters by 2030, a commitment we are encouraging other countries to adapt, and the US Water for the World initiative. Excellencies, colleagues, we look forward to continuing to work with you all in participation for next year's important conference. And we are eager to collaborate with international partners in the lead up to the conference and beyond to look forward to working with you all throughout the preparatory process. So again, thank you very much for your time and input today.
Thank you very much, Jesse. A clear message on water security and the impact of water scarcity, a very clear message. The speaker on my list is our colleague Sarah Linton from Australia. If anyone else, colleagues, would like to take the floor, please indicate so in the chat box. Sarah, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and please allow me to echo my colleagues to extend our thanks and gratitude to you and to the distinguished representative of Finland as co-chairs of this meeting. And I'd also like to recognise the ongoing leadership of the Netherlands and Tajikistan towards the 2023 Water Conference, and of course, as well as the role of supporting UN agencies. We're very much looking forward to key contributory events this year. This includes the Asia Pacific Water Summit taking place in April 2022 in Japan, and of course the high-level conference taking place in June 2022 in Tajikistan. We see the UN 2023 Water Conference as an opportunity to engage holders outside of the water sector, and in doing so, finding new ways to accelerate progress on water-related SDGs. The conference can do this by bringing together the water sector and those sectors that depend on water to achieve broader social, economic, and environmental goals. This idea, as we've heard from our distinguished representative of Germany, it emerged through the Bonn Water Dialogues for Results, where member states and civil society were urged to think, quote, outside of the water box. And this idea reflects the fact that water underpins almost everything we do towards sustainable development, and that has been so eloquently repeated here today. The idea is built on the understanding that when you bring together people with mutual interests, you can find new solutions and new supporters, and that is something that Australia is very supportive of. And that is why Australia welcomed the recent invitation from USG Lu Zhenmin to submit proposals for the 2023 conference's interactive dialogues. In Australia's response, we've suggested that the conference's interactive dialogues should align with the broader benefits that come from improved water management and services. These outcomes could be quite broad, for example, economic development, social inclusion, public health, food security, disaster risk reduction, and of course, climate. The dialogues could be mapped against the relevant SDGs and apply the 5 streams of SDG 6 Global Accelerator Framework. We think that such an approach would help the conference to increase awareness, understanding, and action on water-related SDGs. It would also accord with the objectives of the International Decade for Action on Water for Sustainable Development, and the objectives include placing greater focus on water management for the achievement of social, economic, and environmental objectives. We thank the other participants in today's meeting for their suggestions at the conference and look forward to hearing other suggestions in due course. And we, of course, look forward to future consultations on the interactive dialogues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you for a very liberative discussion. Colleagues, as I can see, no one else no more asking for the floor. I yield the floor to His Excellency Ambassador Osama Abdel Khalid, the PR of Egypt, for his concluding remarks.
Thank you very much, my dear colleague Ahmed. Very much happy with the very rich discussions we have had. I'm really very grateful for all of you for your active participation, very rich contributions and inputs indeed that fits perfectly the purpose of holding this 1-year mark event and so on behalf of Finland and Egypt. We're very much happy with your kind contribution. We will compile the key messages of our discussions today and circulate them later to all the distinguished participants. We have before us a 1 year full of ambition toward the UN 2023 Water Conference. Let's join efforts and work hand in hand to protect our source of life. You see, we needed to work hand in hand to elevate the water agenda internationally and collectively with each other. Apparently, we are all speaking the same language. Apparently, we all have a common, clear objective. This is what I wanted to say in brief. Thank you very much, and wishing you a very international happy International Water Day. Thank you. This event is adjourned. I'm really very grateful. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much.